everybody, and welcome to another week of Let's Talk. I am your host, author Dre Lett. Thank you so much for tuning in to a show where we inform, inspire, and motivate. We get you going, get you going, get you going during these tough times and beyond. So come on in the room and have a seat so we can let's talk. Every week, you can view my show as it's scrolling down there at the bottom, live if you would like on Facebook. My Facebook page is Let's Talk with author Dre Lett. There, you can tune in live and ask questions and comments of me and the guests and so on and so forth and have a good time with us. I also give out shout outs and say hello to you virtually. If you prefer to watch a pre recording, that's fine too. You can also watch all the shows on the Facebook page Let's Talk with author Dre Lett or on YouTube. So, you guys come on in and have a seat. So, this is the week before Christmas. So, Merry Christmas. Yes, I'm so excited, aren't you? It is another holiday season where we can celebrate safely and with family and friends. So, yes, it is Christmas. I'm in the spirit and I'm just so excited. So, you guys, this is going to be a fun filled show. So, I want to recognize my live virtual studio audience. They are always watch with me every week, and they are who I call the Let's Talk fam. So, let me give a shout out. You guys check in with me and tell you where you are watching from. All right, we see Mommy in Love mwah, watching from Vegas. Very good friend of mine, Rockin' Richard Houston, the skate legend. He's tuning in from Detroit. Mwah. Let's see, Elise, my cousin. Absolutely love you, love you, love you. And let's see who else. My husband, the producer, is watching from the man cave. Yes, cousin. So she's checking in from Los Angeles, California. Yeah, I love it. Just people watching from all over the United States. And I see some of you are watching, but if you don't want to say anything, I understand you're probably shy. It's all good. It is all good. I'm just so glad that you guys are here tuning in with me for another fun filled week. So let me ask my live virtual studio audience, those that aren't too shy, tell me, how do you plan on spending this Christmas? Are you going to do something traditional or non-traditional? What are your plans for this Christmas holiday season? I'll tell you mine. My husband and I, we talked about it today, and I'm just going to cook and we're just going to chill and watch lots of movies and relax and enjoy one another, because at the end of the day, I think that's what Christmas is about. It is about giving and loving on one another, but I think it's just, taking it to a whole nother level when people are just going way out their way to do stuff. So we're going to take it easy, cook and eat some nice desserts. But of course, the next day we're going to have to go work it off, right? Okay, let's see. Oh, Antonio. Hey, Tony. He's tuning in. He said he's snowboarding. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Oh my goodness. I would love to try that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's see here. Elise says she's gonna keep it nice and quiet. Maybe binge watch some movies. Yes, girl. There's so many out, right? I was looking at Netflix the other day, and it's so many good ones out. Oh my goodness. I just cannot wait. I want to catch up on everything. Let's see here. Let's see. A new guest is tuning in. Hello, Jennifer. She says she's going to do a Sicilian feast with family. Oh, that sounds good. I love Italian food. Jennifer, I had the opportunity to go over to Italy and France and cruise up and down the French Mediterranean areas, and it was a blast. I love Italy. The food is amazing, but I will say they cook it with a little bit more spices than I was used to. But I love the Italian food and culture and everything. So, I wish I could eat some of the Sicilian feast with you. Okay, let's see here. Cousin Diane is checking in from Vegas. Hey, cuz, love you, love you, love you. So glad you're tuning in. So, you guys come on in the room. We got a fun-filled show for you tonight. Okay, so today is what I call Fiction Friday. Yes, I am calling it Fiction Friday because this is the night we're going to showcase authors, yours truly, and a guest coming up because I think it's important to read. Reading is fundamental. They say when you read a lot, your IQ goes up. And books, quite frankly, are more descriptive. They give you more details. Movies are great too, and TV shows, but books really gives you the nitty gritty. You can really escape. Just get you a glass of wine, hot chocolate, whatever your favorite beverages, and read and just escape. So I want to get everybody back to reading again. So I'm calling this Fiction Friday. So, tonight we will be talking to an award winning urban fantasy and paranormal romance author, Melissa Sercia. She will tell us all about her latest novel, After I Run. She'll be on soon. So, I'm super excited to have her on. Super excited. I love when my fellow authors come on because I just get so excited because we think a lot alike and all that good stuff. So, let's see some more people saying here. Yes, Elise says books you can get into the mind of the characters. Absolutely. Movies, it's just movies are good. I'm not taking anything away from that. They're good, but books really give you details. And she's right. You can get to the mind of the characters. Absolutely. So, you guys, I want to share something with you. This is going that I would like to share with you is my new video ad, or my new ad, I should say, for my book. So I want you guys to take a look at this and tell me what you think, and I'm going to share this with you. I'm super, super excited. Tell me what you guys think, okay? All right. So, what did you guys think of it? Let me know. Let me know. That is my new ad for my books there. So, thank you so much for all of you guys' love and support. Just curious to see what your thoughts were. That's a new ad. Somebody said nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without further ado, I am going to bring on my guest. Let me give her a formal introduction. I'm super excited to have her here. So, you guys, let's go ahead and share her beautiful her picture and let's get into it. So, this is Melissa Sercia. She is an award winning urban fantasy and paranormal romance author with a passion for philosophy, mythology, and all things supernatural. She is the author of the Blood and Darkness series, Beautiful Dark Beast series, and Immortal Billionaire series. Melissa lives in California with her man and her cat. When she's not building dark fantasy worlds and slaying demons, you can find her in the kitchen cooking with a glass of wine in her hand. So, you guys, without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, Melissa,
Hi.
how are you?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outstanding. So, how is it out there in California? How's the
Ah,
weather?
It's cold, actually. Yeah, I'm in Northern California, so it is freezing. As you can see, I've got my scarf on. I'm all
Oh,
bundled up. Yeah.
oh my goodness. I'm from the Bay Area up there, was born and grew up as a little kid up in the Bay Area in Vallejo.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, familiar with that weather. Oh
Yeah,
my
you
gosh.
know, the fog and everything.
Yes, yes, all familiar with it. Absolutely. So thank you once
Yeah,
again for coming on. I'm super excited to have you here. So I
same.
just want to know, I want to get into that head of yours. What made you decide to start writing about the supernatural? Tell us about that.
Well, I've always had a fascination with the supernatural world ever since I was young. I grew up, rest in peace, Anne Rice. She really inspired me growing up, reading her Interview with the Vampire series, made me fall in love with New Orleans. So, yeah, it's kind of always been a fascination of mine. So, as I got older, I started writing and poetry and things like that. But I didn't start writing novels, a little bit later, kind of in my mid 30s. So, yeah, I just love it all. The vampires, werewolves, shifters, all of it. I'm like, I'm down for all of it. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That vampire series from Anne Rice, that was awesome, especially the movie with Brad Pitt. And oh,
Hmm.
that was a very, very good movie. Oh my goodness. So
Exactly.
how many books have you written, and which one in particular is your favorite?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've written 9 novels, written and published 9. I'm working on the 10th one right now. It should hopefully be out by February. Um, it's hard to pick a favorite. They're all my babies. So, my first 2 series were urban fantasy. This latest series is paranormal romance, dark romance, a little steamier. I've enjoyed working on all 3, and I've learned so much from, the different genres and just all the different characters I've created over the years.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite, but I mean, I guess, I think your first one, your debut novel is always like it holds a special spot in my heart because it's, the first creation. So I mean, if I had to choose, I'd probably go with Blood and Magic.
Oh, okay. Blood Magic. Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about your new one coming out after I Run. That sounds exciting. Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, it's funny. I know when we booked this, After I Run hadn't released yet, and I actually have another one after that that just came out called After I Burn. So, it's a 4-book series so far. I'm working on the 5th one. It's called Immortal Billionaires, and essentially, it's each book is a standalone couple that the male is the supernatural creature, the woman's human, at least in the beginning, anyway, and they're all romance stories with a supernatural twist, and each book can be read. I highly recommend reading them from the beginning, but you could definitely read them standalone, one by one, out of order if you wanted, but there is an underlying plot arc. So After I Run is about Cassius, who's a werewolf, and he's, they're all billionaires too, of course,
Wow.
because we're all fascinated by billionaires, I think, at some point. So he lives in, this glass smart house essentially in the woods, with his 2 werewolf companions. And he's after this hacker, and it turns out to be a woman who he has, catches feelings for essentially. And yeah, so it's kind of their love story. It's an enemies to lovers. There's this villain who's after her, and after this artifact, which plays into the whole series, this magical artifact that has to do with the underworld, essentially hell and demons and things like that. So it is a darker series, definitely not for the faint of heart. So if you like your stories a little darker, definitely check it out.
So when you're reading your books, you want to make sure the lights are on in case you get scared or
Yeah, exactly. I've even gotten scared just researching my books. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's exciting. And I was telling the audience before you came on that books are so unique in that they're so descriptive and you can really dig into, where movies are good too, but the
Yeah.
books tells every detail of it. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
can
and you can use
understand.
your imagination more too when you have the book, because you can picture, who you want it to look like and what the scene looks like. So definitely.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what part of the book do you find the hardest writing? Is it the research or the scary scenes or
Yeah, gosh, that's a really good question. I mean, I think, with the first draft, you're really kind of just exploring the story. You're seeing where it could go. It's all the what if questions. Sometimes I take it in a different direction than I had originally thought I was going to. So the first draft can be challenging as much as it is fun. But probably the hardest part is like in the editing process, because that's when you're having to like cut things that aren't working, add stuff if you need to add more description or add a scene here and there, and that could be tricky because you want the pacing to flow, you want readers to really enjoy the story. So that's definitely a difficult part. The research is the fun part. Like you're just like Google searching and going on these like rabbit holes, like finding out all this cool stuff about mythology or history. And then character development is really fun for me. I love fleshing out characters. But yeah, I'd say the editing process is probably the most challenging for sure.
Yeah, I would agree being an author as well. It's like you want to, you go back and you sometimes you second guess yourself or you say, does
Yeah,
that look right? Or, oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh my
exactly.
goodness. So, which of the characters do you relate to the most? I know they're, supernatural, but are there any ones in the book that you relate to? Any of your books?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have this tendency to I write really strong, kick butt female heroines. Like
Yeah.
I really embody that aspect of my own personality of just being like really headstrong and independent. And even though, we do like those moments where we're like a damsel in distress moment where the man comes in to save you. And there are definitely moments of that in my books, but I think yeah, I think all the female characters I really identify with because I put myself into them, particularly Gray from Blood and Magic. She was the first character I've ever created. And I was telling another podcast, I kind of based a lot of her anger and rage, on just like, your teenage angst, when you're younger and you're kind of emotional and all over the place. And that those feelings of stubbornness. And so I kind of wove those into Gray's character traits because she's like this 400-year-old Dampier who's on this revenge mission, against the ones who made her. And so I just kind of channeled a lot of those like angsty younger feelings into her. So yeah, I'd probably relate to her the most.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I
Yeah.
understand because there's always that one character that you love that you may pull from your personal and
Yeah,
just
exactly. Exactly.
put in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
how many hours a day do you write? Are you like most writers, you write all day or you just write when you feel it or how is
Yeah, it
it?
depends. When I'm really like working on a project and I give myself deadlines because with this series specifically, I'm self-publishing it. So I have to book my editors in advance and they're all very busy. So I give myself these deadlines that I have to meet. So when I'm doing that, I try to write 3 to 4,000 words a day. And that can take me anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on like where I'm at in the book. The beginning is always hardest because you're literally creating the story. It's takes it a minute to get going. And then once I'm in the middle, I'm like, okay, I know where this is going and I'm all into it. So yeah, it can take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. But then, I have done 8 to 10 hour days too, where I've written like 10,000 words if I'm just like in crunch time and maybe I took too many days off. So now I have to make up for it, by kind of going a little overboard on other days. And yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good writing schedule. I try to stick to a writing schedule. I think that's super important. You don't have to write every day, but the days you do write, you have to make the most of them.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And you talked about self-publishing. What's that like? Is it a lot of work? Do you have a lot of people
Mhm.
that do it for you, or do you do it yourself? Or
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Super rewarding. But yeah, it's totally different. Like when you're with a small publisher, they are handling a lot of the things for you, like picking the cover and, they just kind of they give you an editor and really all you're doing is writing. And then you do a little marketing, but not a lot. So when you're self-publishing, you have to do everything yourself. I do hire people to do formatting for me because formatting is just not my thing. I do want to learn how to do it eventually, but right now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hire someone who knows what they're doing and give them the business at the same time. And then I pick my cover artists and editors. But everything else, as far as getting the ISBN numbers and uploading the books to Amazon, all the marketing. I make my own graphics. So yeah, that's all on me. So it is really hard. It's really challenging for anyone that wants to get into it. I just suggest, really doing your research, joining Facebook groups that are dedicated to indie publishing. Because I did like about 6 months of research before I even like tried my hand at it. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I can relate to that because I'm much the same. I do most of it myself, and it can be a lot of work.
then
So
yeah.
yeah, you're so right. And people think, oh gosh, you could just write a book and do one next week and put it out. No, sometimes
No.
getting one book can take a year, 3 years. Yeah.
Exactly. Until you get into a rhythm, or if you have, a lot of people do rapid releasing. So that's where you write, maybe two, three, 4 books ahead of time. And then you can kind of just drop them every month once they're all just ready to go, kind of like in your back pocket.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my goodness. So how do you do your marketing? Do you go on podcasts? How do you get the word out? Do you do book signings during COVID?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you handle all of that?
Yeah, COVID was crazy. Yeah, because I had before the pandemic hit, I had a bunch of stuff booked. I was supposed to do a writing conference locally. I was teaching courses at the library. Yeah, I had all kinds of stuff booked, and then we were all on lockdown. So, but then it turned out to be a blessing in disguise in a way, because I found this podcast called Spoiler Country, who had me on as a guest, and we hit it off. And then they asked me to join the podcast, which was great. So I co-host that now with Kendrick and John and Casey and Renee. And but yeah, so I've had to be more creative with how to market, since we couldn't leave our house at all and couldn't do appearances. So I did a bunch of podcasts. I hired a PR person to book me on different podcasts, and I do a lot of social media posts. And like I said, I make my own graphics. So I'm always trying to think of cool creative graphics with slogans, and maybe like excerpts from my book, or like a snippet of a review, and then I'll post that on Instagram, and then I'll do a story on my Instagram with the same graphic and a cool song that goes with it. Yeah, I do TikTok and Twitter, Facebook, you name it, I'm on it. And then I do some Amazon ads, nothing too extensive, but I have some basic Amazon ads running for my first book in that series. So yeah, it is challenging, but the world is opening up a little bit, and I did do a book signing event a couple weeks ago at a local bookstore, and that was really fun. So it was great to get out and like see people again.
Oh wow, that is so cool. And you're right, in this new world that we live in, everything is really social media,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, we're dependent on it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, going back to your book that's coming out, what was the hardest part of it to write for you?
Oh my gosh. So the fourth book I wrote, After I Burn, that one was probably just getting the characters right, because it's a story about a villain. So that essentially the character that plays the villain in all of the previous books, I give him his own story and his side of the story. And so there are some twists and things that people don't see coming. So that was just challenging to kind of still keep him kind of a villain, but also make him likable to readers, that so people would like root for him. And when I sent it out to ARC readers, I got some really great feedback. I was really happy that people were actually like, oh, I didn't see that coming, and oh, I really like him. And so now there's like people that are fans of him. So that was probably the hardest thing, was just getting people behind this villain that they've been hating for 3 books, and now they have to, I'm like, no, please like him now. So yeah.
That's hilarious when people tend to like one area of a book or one particular
Hmm.
book. You're like, but no, I want you to like this over here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like trying to point you over there.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Audience, make sure you guys feel free to ask comment or questions and comments as Melissa is here. So
Yeah.
how long does it take for you to write a book? And we talked about sometimes it take a year, 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again depends on like what I'm writing. This series in particular, each book took me 2 months each
Oh, wow.
to write. Yeah, like I mean,
Oh,
well, the first one was maybe three because it was like the beginning of the whole arc and the whole series. But once I got into that rhythm of knowing, where it was going, the ideas started coming at me super quick. And so yeah, it was about 2 months for each book. And then like another couple weeks to do some editing and get it all formatted and put on Amazon. But I, my other series, The City Owl Press, is a little bit more epic. It's urban fantasy. It's like this adventure story, and those books take me about a year to write just
okay.
because the world building is insane, and I have like 12 characters in each book, and there's
Yes.
just so many different like factors and layers going into it and all these different subplots. So yeah, those ones take me a little bit longer. So yeah, it just kind of depends on what I'm writing.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally get that. You got the 12 characters, you got to interweave them all in together, that kind
Yeah,
of
I can't forget about any of them.
right. Oops, I forgot that one.
Right.
So, have you thought about doing any script writing or anything for movies or anything like that?
And not so much like as a script writer. I would definitely love to have, obviously, sell film rights and have somebody adapt, my novels into film. I think that would be amazing. I have thought about scripts here and there, but I think it's one of those industries that's just hard to break into, and especially if you don't live
Yeah.
in LA and don't have any connections, you know how it goes.
Mhm.
So yeah, who knows? I mean, one of the things I definitely want to do is write a comic book, because I've gone into this comic book world with, Spoiler Country podcast, and I've talked to a lot of creators and publishers in that field. And I've loved comic books since I was a kid. So that is something I would like to do, like a dark graphic novel, horror comic book, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw something on Facebook. I don't know where I was, but I saw something coming out with the modern day werewolf or something like that. And I
Okay.
thought of you in terms of your
Yeah.
characters and what you write. And so, and that's always exciting. You know, we love our love stories, we love the action films, but definitely every now and again you want to be scared, right? You want to get
Yeah. I
ooh.
love I love good horror, like psychological horror, things like, The Haunting of Hill House and The Shining.
Oh yeah,
I'm not too big of a fan of like all the gory stuff, but just
yeah.
more of like the ghost stories and the super, yeah, psychological stuff is really fun.
Oh yeah. What about the Matrix? That's coming out, I think, next week. Is that
I know. I'm
I
so
cannot wait.
excited. Not to age myself, but it's been a really long time since I've seen the originals. So I
Yeah,
almost kind of want to watch them again before I watch the new one because I feel like I'm going to be totally lost
me
and
too.
not remember.
Exactly, me too. You
Yeah.
gotta go back and catch up
You got
and
to rewatch them. Yeah.
uh-huh, and whoever the writer is for that, my gosh, the details on that alone is like, oh,
I
yeah,
know.
that
I'm
should be
so impressed. I mean, just to keep track of all those different like storylines and like what's real and what's not,
mhm,
it's such an interesting story. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they've done with it.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So if what kind of advice would you give for someone who's out there watching that wants to get into becoming a fiction writer or, what advice would you give them?
Well, definitely like study your craft. That's super important. Read craft books, take workshops. There's a ton of stuff out there, a ton of info. If you go on just Facebook, join these writing groups. There's Mark Dawson has the SBF Foundation writing groups. Craig Martell has 20 books to 50K. It's an amazing group to learn about indie writing. So definitely start there, do your research, find out what the industry is like. Excuse me, and know your genre, like know what you want to write in. If you want to write romance or sci-fi or mystery, read in that genre, read and see what they're doing, what the tropes are, what the rules are, all those things. And then just start writing, write and figure out what lane you want to go on. Do you want to try to get an agent, or do you want to be self-published and have more control? There's so many different aspects, different avenues, and neither avenue is the right one. It's just what's ever right for you. So just go for it and don't give up because, yeah, I mean, I think anyone who has a story to tell should tell it.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
And it's room for everybody at the table, right? So to speak.
absolutely. Yeah, I always say there's room for every book on my shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And books are so much fun. I mean, gosh, you could just really, really get into it. Definitely, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
next for you? What's exciting coming up for you? I've got your information scrolling down at the bottom
Oh,
there.
perfect. Oh, yeah, the ticker. I love it. The ticker tape. I feel like I'm on like CNN or something now. No. I love it. So next year, so I'm wrapping up this fifth book in Immortal Billionaires, and it will be an ongoing series, but I'll probably take a little break from it since I've done five really quickly. I plan on doing a dark academia series. I'm plotting that. I will do a spin-off series of Immortal Billionaires that'll just be more focused on like the vampires in New Orleans. I do plan to launch possibly a new pen name, just to take the different genre in a different direction with a new pen name. And so yeah, I'm just going to be writing and writing and writing next year. That's my plan. And I do have another book to finish for my publisher to complete a series that I have with them. So that'll be the third and final book in the Beautiful Dark Beast series. So yeah, I'm just write all the time. Next year I'll be just in my little cave, in my writing cave,
That's
doing all
awesome.
that. Yeah,
Just getting it on. They awesome. I love it. I love it.
exactly.
So for those that are listening and may not be able to see the screen, can you tell everybody how to follow you?
Yeah, so I'm on everything. So on Instagram, I'm at Melissa Sercia Writes. On Twitter, I'm at Fluid Ghost. Facebook, I'm at Melissa Sercia 11, and then I also have a Facebook group called Immortal Billionaires, which is for that series. And then I'm on TikTok as well. I do some really fun thirst trap videos with. I'm not the thirst trap. I'm duetting thirst traps and making them book related, and they're hilarious. I do these funny reactions. So, anyways, check that out, and that's at Melissa Sercia. Um, I think it's Melissa Sercia Writes on TikTok as well. I also have a website, melissasercia.com. And yeah, and you can email me to it, melissaserciawrites@gmail.com. So plenty of
Awesome.
places to find me.
And if they want to hear you on the podcast, did you want to share that as well?
Oh
Or?
yeah, so we're at scpod.net is our website, and or if you have Apple Podcasts or any of the podcatchers, just type in Spoiler Country and we'll pop up. We do a lot of really awesome interviews with musicians, actors, comic book creators, and yeah, we have some really big guests coming up next year that I can't announce yet, but I'm really excited about.
Yay, that's
Yeah,
awesome. That is so awesome. I am
yeah,
so glad that you came on. Let's talk. I think it's like I said earlier to the guests that I think it's huge when fellow authors come on because I get so excited because
yeah.
that's my thing, that's my lane, right? So I
Right, exactly.
appreciate you coming on so much. Is there anything else you want to share with the virtual audience? They're commenting now.
Oh, wow. Hi. Well, no, I just thank you so much for having me on. I love podcasting. I love chatting with fellow authors, and coming on and talking to, viewers and readers and just, any questions for anyone. If they want to ask me anything more about writing, they can always, hit me up on any of those sites that I listed, and I'm happy to answer any questions for, newbie writers trying to break into the biz. But yeah, no, just everyone have a happy holiday too and stay safe and just yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been really fun.
Definitely. And you're welcome here anytime. So feel
Thank
free
you.
to come back and talk more about your books and so forth. And thank you so much. And you have a Merry Christmas as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for watching as well. Awesome.
See you soon.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, she's so awesome, you guys. Melissa Sercha, I think that was amazing for her to come on and talk about her book. So I'm super excited for her. I'm always excited when other authors can come on and talk about their work. So thank you so much for coming on, Melissa. So, you guys, as we close out the show, I always leave you guys with a positive vibe, if you will, positive quote or something along those lines. And so this one basically says it's going along with Fiction Friday, right? It basically says that reality doesn't always give us the life that we desire, but we can always find what we desire between the pages of the books. And that is by Adelise M. Collins. And I love that because basically I interpret that as being that, maybe your circumstances and what it is that you want it to be, or maybe you just want to escape and pick up a book and just dive into it and just read it and just read a character that you are you have a fantasy with, if you will. So yes, definitely, you guys make sure you pick up Melissa's books. Make sure that you buy a book, because remember, reading is fundamental. It increases your IQ and all that good stuff. So you guys, as I want to make sure that you guys know, I want you to have a safe and a happy Merry Christmas. Love on your family, love on one another, be kind to one another. And as I tell you every single week, make sure you do one good thing for one person each day, and you can affect 365 lives. Be it opening the door, saying a kind gesture. Make sure you be careful. This Omicron is really spreading. If you haven't gotten your booster, please get your boosters. You saw in that funny spoof by Jimmy Fallon. So make sure you guys stay safe out there and have a safe and happy Merry Christmas. And with those words, I'm out.